let's taste 3 refreshing white wines. The first wine is a Soave from Italy, from the Veneto area of Italy, North Italy. The second wine is a Verdicchio dei Castelli di Jesi. So it's made from Verdicchio grape from the Castelli di Jesi region in the central part of Italy. And the third wine is an Albariño from the region of Rías Baixas in Spain. And for the appearance, all of these wines, they are pale lemon. And let's smell the first wine, the Soave. The aroma intensity, I would say medium plus, not very pronounced, but it's still lots of aromas there. And what I get is mostly lemon, apple, a hint of floral notes, but really not that obvious. Maybe a hint of, let's say, blossom. But mostly it's about the fruit, the appley fruit, lemon fruit, and almost some white peach. And almost give a feeling of this kind of mineral sensation, so some wet stones. Let's smell the second wine. It's a Verdicchio from central Italy. The aroma intensity, I would say medium, is really not that obvious. And if we dig into it, it has some citrus fruit, again like lemon, like apple, green apple. But also it has a hint of herbal notes, but not very grassy. It's almost like fennel sensation. That's about it. And let's smell the third one, the Albariño from Spain. Oh, it's much more pronounced. I would say this is pronounced aroma intensity. It's very obvious and it's full of fruity notes, such as some grapefruit, apple, but more so is stone fruit, such as peach, apricot. It's very peachy apricot. It's very fruity and very obvious. Okay, let's taste. Let's go back to the Soave from Italy, North Italy. It's interesting because it has more on the palate. It's dry, high acid. We're talking about refreshing white wine over here. It's really high acid. I'm still salivating. And the alcohol is medium. And the body, due to the high acid, I almost want to say light body, but it has more substance on the palate. So I give it medium minus body. Why? Because on the palate, the flavors are more pronounced. So I would say medium plus aroma on the nose, but pronounced flavors on the palate. And it has more defined, more obvious, more concentrated apple, lemon, these kind of fruity flavors, and also some white peach and more mineral notes like wet stones, and just a hint of bread, those kind of yogurt, bread, yeasty palate. But mostly it's still about the fruit and the minerality. Finish, I would say, is medium plus. It does have a bit of this kind of lingering fruitiness and the mineral flavors on the palate. Taste the second wine, the Verdicchio from central Italy. Wow, again, these two Italian wines I chose really has more on the palate. It's dry, high acid again. Not as high acid as the first one, but still it has high acid. It's still in the high acid range. Medium alcohol. The body, again, I give it medium minus because the flavor intensity, there are more into it. I would say medium plus flavor intensity, with flavors of lots of citrus fruit like lemon, lime, those kind of citrus fruit, some apple, but more so it does have some fennel flavors and even those kind of almond-like, bitter almond-like flavors on the palate. So there's more on the palate. Finish, I would give it a medium. The finish is not that long. It has a refreshing impression that's lasting, but the flavors didn't last for so long, but still the flavors are more interesting than the smell. Let's taste the last one, the Albariño from Spain. It's still a refreshing white wine, but the mouthfeel is different. Let me explain. It's still dry. The acid is fresh, but I wouldn't give it very high level. It's medium plus, so it's still refreshing, but not as high acid as compared to the two Italian white wines. Alcohol is medium, but if I have to be precise, the alcohol feels a bit higher as compared to the first two. So it's still medium alcohol, but it's a little bit higher and the fuller body sensation as compared to the first two Italian white wines. So the body, I give it medium. And for the flavor intensity, is still pronounced, lots of fruit, but I have to say it's not as strong as compared to the smell. So it's still lots of fruit, it's still pronounced, but it's tiny bit weaker in terms of the fruity sensation as compared to the smell. We are still having lots of fruit like peach, apricot, grapefruit, lemon, lots of them. Although the flavor intensity is high, it's very pronounced, the finish is not that long. So I would say the finish is medium, okay? The flavor stays in a little bit in the mouth, but then it disappeared all of a sudden. So it has a strong fruity taste, but not a super long finish, medium finish. These three white wines, when we taste them, most people will just say, oh, fresh, nice, easy to drink. However, if we taste them carefully, we do find some differences on the tasting note. And the first foremost reason is because they are using different grape varieties for these wines. The first wine I say is a Soave, but I didn't mention the grape because Soave is the region in northeast Italy. But the grape variety is actually called Garganega for the Soave. So Garganega is a grape, Soave is a region. So Garganega first. And the second one, I already mentioned the grape variety, which is Verdicchio. So Garganega, Verdicchio. And the third one is an Albariño grape. So for the first one, Garganega to me always show more apple notes and some citrus aromas. And the acid is always pretty high in Garganega. So it's more about the citrus, appley fruit with high acid. For Verdicchio, not only is more citrus driven, such as lemon, those kind of lemon skin, lemon peel driven, but also it has a hint of those kind of herbal aromas, such as the fennel-like aromas. That is Verdicchio. And for Albariño, it still has some citrus, but it tends to show riper fruit characteristics, such as especially the stone fruit characteristics in Albariño. So for the third one, it's more about stone fruit such as white peach and apricot and nectarines. Also, we could probably taste the different growing conditions, different vineyard conditions. For the first, Garganega from Soave is in northeast Italy. So combining with the high acid, those kind of apple citrus fruit of this grape Garganega, the cooler climate in northeast Italy also helps create this kind of even more linear sensation on the palate. It's really high acid, it's really very refreshing. But for the second wine, it's from central Italy. So as I mentioned, the acid is still high because Verdicchio, this grape, has high acid. However, the acid is not as high as the Soave. Probably there's also some climatic conditions influencing this wine, because the climate of central Italy is slightly warmer than the North Italy in certain vineyards. Okay, but it's not that obvious. We can taste the difference of grape variety, but not very obvious, not very contrasting climate conditions in between these two. But if we move to the third one, the Albariño, lots of people say the region of Rías Baixas for producing this Albariño in Spain, they still has lots of Atlantic influence from the ocean, so it's such a cool region. But I have to say that region is relatively warmer than especially the north part of Italy, because this region is in Spain. Even for North Spain, the latitude is much lower as compared to the North Italy part. So the climate is indeed a bit warmer as compared to the first two, especially as compared to wine number one. So this Rías Baixas wine from Spain, made from Albariño, does have a bit fuller body, and the acidity is not as high as compared to wine number one.